No, you gotta restart. That was good. Are you gonna do the timer? So, no timer. Welcome to Life Lanes, the podcast where we embark on a journey through the diverse and incredible stories of people from all walks of life. Whether you're an artist, an entrepreneur, a scientist, a traveler, or someone who's just been through the ups and downs of life, you have a tale that deserves to be shared. Our mission is to inspire, enlighten, and entertain our listeners with the real life experiences of our guests. We want you to walk away from each episode feeling motivated, connected, and more aware of the diverse world we live in. So get ready to dive deep into the lives of our incredible guests. From their triumphs to their struggles, you'll get an intimate look into what makes them who they are. I'm your host, Dom. I'm here with my partner in crime, Justin. We are two brothers, and we're excited to do this podcast with you all. Justin, why don't you tell us what you got going on for this week?
Yeah, what's up, Dom? Good to see you, buddy. As you can see, not my normal background, traveling a bit, which is fun. Down in Atlanta with my future father-in-law. We've
Ooh,
been here for a few days in Atlanta. Did a whole log cabin thing. Did a lot of fantasy football watching today. Just had some good barbecue. So heading back tomorrow morning up back to New York.
great. Is this your first time in Atlanta or?
Been here a few different times.
Uh-huh.
A couple work trips, couple personal trips.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun city. They've got a Coca-Cola Museum is always a good spot. Obviously, a lot of different sports teams you can come watch too. So we got lucky. It's been 80 degrees every day, so we can't really
Ooh,
complain.
very nice, very nice. It's a little different from where I'm from. It's about 45 and rainy today, but
Yeah.
that's okay. All right, before we get ahead of ourselves, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Justin? Start off, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, I'm what you call a strategy consultant, which is a complicated way of saying I work for a very large firm. We do tax work, we do accounting work, or audit work, and we do consulting. And specifically, what I do is I work with mostly CEOs of pretty large companies, so anywhere between 500 million and 2 billion in revenue, so pretty sizable companies, and help them really achieve their revenue targets, their vision, who they want to be in this world when it comes from a company perspective.
Wow. And I know you haven't always been in that field, right? I know you tend to hop
Yeah.
around a little bit. Why don't you take us through, brief history of it?
Yeah, it's a weird journey because since I was a kid playing with Legos, I thought I wanted to be an architect my whole life. Started school in Long Island, New York, and kind of midway through realized not exactly what I wanted to do after a few internships, and had the opportunity to move to Philly to go to school there, and still kind of continued down that path. Kind of pivoted a little bit towards what at the time was construction management, very new field. So instead of designing buildings, I was going to help build them from a management perspective. And a couple of years into my career, just kind of decided, listen, I want to do bigger things. I like to tell the joke. I stopped caring about how two steel I-beams were put together on a building, but I cared about the budget. I cared about the schedule. I cared about the safety.
Mm-hmm.
So I completed my MBA, which was a lot of fun. Did that whole thing online. Got my employer to pay for it, and immediately after graduating, left for a Big Four, a pretty large consulting firm, and then just kind of started climbing the ladder from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just goes into it's not really finding your niche like right out of school, right out of things. It's kind of trying to different things, be like, maybe this isn't really for me. And then you
Yeah.
kind of figure out what you don't want to do, and then hopefully you wiggle your way into something.
Yeah, I think that's like a cool way of thinking about it, right? What don't you want to do is a nice way of like eliminate, because I think most of us could be content with our daily lives and a multitude of different, things going on. But then to really find what you don't want to do, absolutely don't want to do, it's important. I get a really nice blend of behind the desk work, remote work, travel for clients, work with a diverse set of people across really complex problems. Still kind of working the engineering brain every day. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. And how big is the team that you're currently working with right now?
Tough question to answer. I'll be honest, because it can vary. I currently manage just over about 20 people on a daily
Oh, okay.
basis. But that can go up with different clients. It can go down depending on where we are with the work. We just kicked off one of the largest projects of my career, which is going to be a lot of fun. But with that comes a new challenge. So little hesitancy for sure. But I think we're building the right team. We're taking the right steps, and we'll get it done.
Cool. That's awesome. And I know in addition to this consulting job that you have, you're very involved in your LI Kick League, which is,
Yeah.
I'm just going to butcher it. Why don't you tell people what LI Kick
Yeah, no,
is?
that's
The
awesome.
beautiful
So,
thing that it is.
uh, LI Kick is Long Island, which is in New York, right? Long Island's largest adult social sports league. We have 30,000 players and across 10 different sports. I've been playing for about 7 or 8 years now. The league's only been around for about 10. And then I got really involved from working first as what we call league director, so running individual leagues. Really started loving that and having an impact on people's week. I mean, it's really cool to hear someone to say, especially a post-COVID world, someone to say like, "I look forward to this every week," or "This is really what helps me get through my work week." I went through a bad breakup. I lost a lot of friends. This is a really cool way for me to join a league. And then at the beginning of this year, I took on a management position where I help lead our finance and strategy. And for me, it's taking that same step of I get to now not impact one person, but 30,000 people, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that could be through a variety of different ways. I think it's really cool, like the kind of business we have. And you and I have talked about in the past, like how do adult make, how do you, as an adult, how do you make friends? It's usually through like the workplace, right? Is like natural,
If you're
but
lucky, yeah.
right,
If you have
right.
cool
If you're working with
coworkers, yeah.
exactly, if you're working with
Yeah.
people your age and your walk of life, I think this is cool because you sign up, you can be competitive, you can be beginner, you can sign up looking for friends, you can sign up looking for love, you can sign up looking for enemies. We kind of have it all. So it's been a really fun journey. I'm super excited just to continue to see ourselves grow. We're getting to a point where like we're kind of outgrowing Long Island in a cool way.
Mm-hmm.
So, new challenges come with that, and it's very different. 5,000 people is different than 30,000 customers. So, a lot of challenges, but a lot of fun too.
And are they part of like a bigger conglomerate like around the country or?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the way most adult sports work is there are local clubs that roll up. You can voluntarily join an association. We're part of the SSIA with numerous other clubs, and we'll get together on an annual or biannual basis. We went to Kansas City last year. We're going to Punta Cana this year. That's a cool opportunity because we get to exchange ideas, learn about how other clubs do different things. But we are just Long Island. We've kind of experimented in New York City a little bit. Hopefully, we get back in there soon and just keep on expanding.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty big sports league up by me called Game On Vermont, which
Yeah,
we've chatted about before, and um, I met some really good people through that, so that's been a nice little avenue.
yeah, yeah,
All right, Justin. So, when you're not working with your consulting company and when you're not working on the side hustle, what are some of the other things you've been getting into now?
yeah. As you know, planning a wedding September 7th next year, so super fun. Uh,
Congratulations.
yeah, yeah. Officially, well, I need to officially ask you to be my best man, so that's still on the docket, but it's kind of a sneak peek that's going to happen. So.
I was
Uh,
getting nervous for a little bit.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I get it. I get it. I got all the party favors and everything. I just gotta make it look good. So, yeah, I mean, planning weddings challenging. Obviously, I think for me, it's a cool experience. We're doing it all on our own. We're paying for it on our own, which is not only like financially challenging, but it gets to be a fun I'll say a fun challenge to work with you and your partner because you have to figure out like what's important, what's a deal breaker, what's going to work, and that starts from day one, man. As soon as you get
Sure.
engaged, finding the right venue is a challenge, and then as soon as you get a venue, finding the photographer and the different vendors, and now we're on to flowers. So it's been a challenge, but like a fun one, right? Where you get to plan this really magical day with your partner. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk bachelor party on the podcast a little bit as we get into it. But
Woo.
yeah, yeah, no, it's
Have
good, it's good
Are
stuff.
you are you pretty picky in these things? Like, I don't really see you caring what flowers are at the wedding.
I care about the price, right? Like
That's
any
true.
man
That's
typically
true.
is programmed to be like. I think I've had opinions about what looks good and what doesn't, but I definitely the way we've kind of talked about it is I'm more logistics. So I'll talk about the shuttle bus that's going to get all of our guests from the hotel to the
Mm-hmm.
venue, and she'll worry about what kind of flowers we pick for the ceremony, right? So like she's got a creative side, I've got a logistical side, so bounce each other.
I'm sure you care about the cocktails being served though. What do we got?
Hell yeah,
A little
man.
sneak peek?
It's obviously open bar. I got to come up with we get a his and her cocktail, which is fun.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting to put that together. I'm excited for the food tasting, cake tasting. You know me, so that should be a lot of fun getting to eat. So yeah. Well, it'd be fun. I think throughout the journey of the podcast, like let's talk about the wedding more and get into it. But I've been listen, man. I've been talking a lot about myself. Like I think I got a cool journey, but so do you, and I love to learn. Like love to have our folks learn a little bit more about what you got going on. So maybe just start like, what the hell? Like, what do you do for a living, man?
Sure. Yeah. I think that's a great place to start. So I am a licensed naturopathic physician in the state of Vermont. I'm a primary care physician that's trained on optimizing the whole body, whether that's um, from a physical standpoint, mental standpoint, emotional standpoint. Vermont is kind of a rural medicine area where the primary care physicians are definitely asked to do things that you wouldn't be asked to do in a big city like New York or LA.
Hmm.
For example, like services like dermatology or psychologists are not readily available. So as a primary care, you're that point person where you're being asked to do a lot of this stuff, which is, nerve-wracking yet exciting because, you learn something new every day. But the way I got situated with naturopathic medicine was, I grew up in a medical background. So, our father's a doctor, as you know, and, our aunt's a PA, and our cousin's a nurse, and our uncle's a doctor. So, I always was in that sciencey background. And then when I was in college, I started taking a lot of philosophy classes, which really changed the way I thought, way I approached problem solving. And then one of the naturopathic schools, Bastyr University, came and gave a talk at my school in Ithaca College. And, they laid out these foundations of like what the ideals for their type of medicine is. And I was like, hell yeah, like this is
Hmm.
exactly what I want to do. So applied, packed my stuff up, moved across the country, moved to Oregon for 4.5 years, did my schooling out there, made some lifelong friends that we'll probably bring on the podcast, being part of this family. Moved back to the East Coast, settled in Vermont, and I've been here a little over 2 years now. So it's been, yeah, quite a journey. I'm
Crazy.
definitely excited to be back on the East Coast, be closer to family.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah, it's much easier having you here, right? It's like an hour flight to get together. I was in Vermont a couple weeks ago, versus a 5 6 hour flight cross country, different time
right, with the
zones.
red eye.
Yeah,
Yeah, and now I can like drive if I want to, or
yeah,
I was seeing you maybe once every 6 months when I was out
yeah.
there, if that. Now I get to see your beautiful face like every 4 to 6 weeks, so it's great.
That's awesome, man. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this: like, I get this question from my friends who know you. They always
Mm-hmm.
ask, like, where are you in this journey of being a physician? Because I think
Mm-hmm.
most people who are not in this inner working don't really understand the steps of what it takes, right? So maybe just walk us
Right.
through like how many years was undergrad, medical
Sure.
school, where are you now?
Yeah, and my route is different from a conventional MD route. So, conventional MD route, 4 years undergrad, 4 years medical school, anywhere from 3 to 4 years of residency, and then you have a fellowship, and then so a lot more specializations for that.
Okay.
My circumstance: 4 years undergrad, 4 years medical school, and then there's a residency program. Now, residency programs aren't mandatory. It kind of depends on what
Hmm.
your state's legislature says. So you have to check in with that. Vermont is beginning to require a 2-year residency for other naturopaths, just to kind of get us standardized. You don't want someone just coming shooting from the hip, right? It's nice to have this standardized,
Yeah,
process for it. Yeah, so I did my 4 years undergrad, 4 years medical school. You take a couple of exams, and now I am finishing up. and you can do a third year. I would say nobody
Okay.
does more than 3 years. So I'm going to be doing 2.5 years, just the way my contract was set up. So I'm between that 2 to 2.5 year mark.
Gotcha. Okay. That's helpful. Yeah, I think like, everyone knows being a doctor, really anything in medical profession requires a lot of school, right? And
Hmm.
no one really knows. I think everyone thinks that it's pretty standardized, right? So
Hmm.
it feels like not only like state difference, right? But obviously specialization or naturopathic versus traditional. Like there's
Hmm.
different routes you can go, which is pretty cool.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think everyone kind of has their own role. Like most people in the conventional world are not going into family medicine, which is fine. Like we need surgeons, we need
Yeah.
orthopedists and things like that. So it's nice that naturopaths have kind of carved out that role, at least in the state of Vermont. It really varies state to state. Like Arizona, they're doing totally different things. California, they do like a lot of like wellness programs, like IVs and stuff like that. So Vermont is as primary care as it gets, which is good.
So you're in Vermont now, right? So I know your background, right? Long Island, and then upstate New York, right, for
Yep,
undergrad,
yep,
out to Portland, Oregon for med
yep,
school, back to Vermont. You did a kind of you lived there with Thailand for a few weeks or whatever
yep,
it is.
yep.
So
In Thailand for three
you
weeks.
you've bounced around, man.
I have, yeah. I mean, I've slept in a lot of random places. We'll say that. Passport's getting pretty full, but that's great. Like I like
Yeah,
traveling around.
yeah, yeah,
This Thai trip, which we can touch on at a different time, was really something that I was like looking for in my life, and I was on the fence of like going. I was like, I don't know, it's kind of a lot of money. Like, never been
yeah.
to Asia. Should I do this? I do it, and then the next year, COVID happens and the world shuts down.
Jeez.
And if I never took that leap and did that trip, I would have never done it.
Yeah. Well, I think that, and something that, was installed with you and me as kids is travel, right?
Yeah.
And we were lucky enough and blessed enough to travel at a young age. And I mean, I consider like people ask, what are your hobbies, right? Like travel's one of them, if not the main one that I
Hmm.
love to do. So, yeah, I mean, I'm here on personal that I travel professionally, so it's a lot of fun. Just kind of speaking of hobbies, right? Like, yeah, we're looking forward to ski season around the corner in Vermont, so that's
Yep.
coming up quick.
Yep.
Super pumped there.
Bam, 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 bam,
Uh,
bam.
yeah, super pumped, man.
Yeah.
That should be a lot of fun. But what other hobbies do you have? What do you consider a hobby? Like maybe just go from there.
Yeah. So you actually taught me how to ski. That was a fun day.
Yeah.
We had a third party present for that who didn't have such a great time, but she doesn't need to be named right now. But yeah, I'm hoping to get on a couple blues this year. One of the social groups that I made with my soccer team, they're all really big skiers, and their goal is to get me on a couple tough ones this year. So it's good to go with people that
Yeah.
are at your speed. Like I don't want to feel like I'm making them go on easy runs, but I also don't want to get like left behind. So it's a good balance to that. But
Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's see how well I know my brother. Just like kind of a list of hobbies. So you got skiing,
yeah,
you play soccer,
I do.
which is a lot of
Yep,
fun. I know you did a ton of games today. You love to cook,
yep.
which is pretty big. You do CrossFit. You got me into CrossFit,
This
so
is
I
all
started
true.
CrossFit too.
All true.
I would even say you're a craft cocktail amateur. You
Oh,
get into craft
amateur
cocktails.
bartender. Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. So that's been a lot of fun. Any other hobbies I'm missing, or I kind of cover it?
Um, I mean, that's pretty good. I like to play board games
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
just do random stuff like that. But, between the gym, CrossFit, and soccer, like that takes up a large amount of my time.
yeah. I know, I know.
But it's good, because I've been able to build communities like through
Sure.
those, and um, they've really stuck around. My CrossFit gym is amazing. We get together and we have drinks and we have barbecues. And for someone, that's been moving around state to state, like it's really important for me to establish community. And,
Sure.
this is the first time in my life where I haven't had school like to kind of force that community on me. So I've had to be a little bit more creative and, a little bit more ambitious in curating that community for myself. So I'm glad I've found a couple winners.
Yeah, make good points, then. Well, I think that probably is good enough about us. I mean, maybe just to give kind of our listeners an idea of what our plan is It's really just like this to have conversations with guests to learn and grow from individuals and professionals, really as we are transitioning through different important life milestones. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun journey for me,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you too.
Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to what you were just saying, Justin, I wanted to use this platform just to reconnect with some of these friendships that I've made throughout my life and that I've kind of, have dwindled throughout my life. Not because we had a falling out, but just because we're not in the same state anymore,
Yeah,
or, you just kind of lose touch with people. And doing this podcast is going to be a great way to just check in, someone that you haven't talked to in a year, be like, hey, like what's going on in your life, and then who knows what you learn from them, right? So we'll kind of leave it up for that.
sure.
Uh, um, so everybody, buckle up. We got a great show for you next week. We have the amazing Dean Siriaco coming in. Uh, Dean is a man of many talents, from track coaching to running a successful baseball podcast and even being the dean of a school. He has some incredible stories that he's going to share with us next week and might even tell us about some juicy gossip about some of these middle schoolers. So thanks all for listening. We're excited to take this journey with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.